I think we're going to have some fun today. There's something called a shoot interview. And I love going to the shoot interviews, and that's a professional wrestling term. You have a worked interview where they're staying in character. You have a shoot interview where they drop the character and they answer anything that they're asked, all the behind-the-scenes stuff. I love to go on and watch those, but they're kind of hard to find. So I go on YouTube and I literally just search pro wrestlers shoot 2016, and it'll bring up the most current stuff. One that I really like is Marcus Bagwell, Buff Bagwell. I disagree with the WWE who released Buff Bagwell. He was young, sharp, good on the mic, good worker, very charismatic, and they let him go after one bad performance. And I really disagreed with that, particularly, aside from his skill set, particularly because of his age. I'm just looking and going, hey, this is a young guy. He's got another 10 years in the business. He's got a huge base. And, you know, you come over from the WCW, come into the WWE, particularly a main event match. I think that you're probably going to stub your toe a little bit. I would just imagine that you got to walk that ramp a few times and get warmed up. I thought it was a little bit of a cutthroat move. Buff allegedly is now, what do you call it when you're a man and you're a hooker? Gigolo. He's apparently now a gigolo, and I normally wouldn't bring that up, but he talks about it. I think maybe if you're in that business, you've got to advertise. I don't know. But I'm explaining to the fans like that because I don't want to think I'm disparaging our guest. He came on a shoot interview and said he's a gigolo and you can look him up. So we'll get into some stuff here. But another reason I like to talk to the guys that were scorned, and I really feel he was scorned. He came over, young guy, not even quite to his prime, one bad match, and he's all of a sudden out of the business. He can't go back to WCW. It was gone. It got absorbed by the WWE, so there's nowhere to go. Point I'm getting at, when you have a scorned guy, those are usually the guys that really will talk. You know, that's the guys that will usually point the finger and tell you what really happened, and that's how we get insight.
Can I tell you something?
You could try.
All right, do you know why I was steering away from the commission thing?
Why?
Because I didn't know anything about it. Now that I read it, you're 100% right.
Okay.
So you're right. I'm a dummy.
And the commission just weighed in for absolutely no reason and deemed that she was faking.
Forged her injury.
Yeah, I read that they said that, but again, I have to, in full disclosure, admit that I didn't get to see the match. So I'm taking your word for it that the kick was thrown, the kick made contact with her head, and the commission later deemed that it didn't kick her hard enough? Is that... I'm asking a question.
I don't know what... I think so. I have no idea what any of it...
What I had read is they said the kick missed.
No,
they said
it did not miss.
Missed. Now, if it missed, that does change everything.
Yes, it does. No, she got her. 100% right. She got her.
All right, here's what I want to tell people. I want to get this in so we can have a nice, clean show with Buff. It's about healthy snacks. One thing in America, and I can relate to this, if there's one thing that I have to do with my job, Joel, I got to make weight. And it's a very rare thing in America where your boss gets to weigh you in. Could you imagine that in any other line of work? There would be a lawsuit. You show up to the office, your boss makes you get on the scale, male or female, before you get to go do your work. My line of work, you got to do it. And one thing about America, food that is healthy is not convenient. They don't go we don't have drive-thrus for stuff that's healthy. Well, I can do you one better, and that's NatureBox. naturebox.com/podcast. There's the plug, but I'll tell you how it works. You go pick out the food you want. Not only does it convenient, you don't even have to go through the drive-thru. You don't even have to leave your house. They bring it to your door. They bring it to your front door, and it's snacks. Snacks as opposed to meals. So things that we can take with us, things you can put in the kids' lunchbox, things you can grab as you're headed out the door. NatureBox makes snacks that actually taste great, and they're better for you, created with high-quality ingredients that are free from artificial colors, flavors, or sweeteners, so you can feel great about snacking on them. NatureBox recently made their service even better. Now you can order as much as you want, as often as you want, with no minimum purchase required, and you can cancel anytime. It's simple. Go to naturebox.com and check out their snack catalog. There are over 100 snacks to choose from, and they're constantly adding delicious new snacks. Choose the snacks you want, and they will deliver them right to your door. They don't knock, you don't sign for them, they're right at your door. Go out and grab them. With NatureBox, you'll never get bored. There are new snacks each month, inspired by real customer feedback. And if you ever try a snack you don't like, NatureBox will replace it for free. For absolutely free. Get some cashew crumble. Guys, if you're going to go to NatureBox, get the cashew crumble. Also, get the strawberry carrot fruit chews. Just trust me on that. There's 100 to choose from. Get as much as you want. Make sure you try those. Again, just go to naturebox.com/podcast. They'll give you 50% off your first order. How do you like that? Food for half the price. Joel?
I want to get this straight. Now, I'm not apologizing to you because you got all upset.
Felt like you were.
Oh, I'm not.
I felt like you conceded.
No, I did not concede. I want to give a point because
your tone's changed. You're now looking at me nice. You got a little smile on, whereas before you looked like a dog that wanted to bite him. And I feel like this is an apology. But go ahead.
It's not an apology at all.
I forgive you. I forgive you. How's that?
Well, it leads me in to one of the greatest tweets of all time. Now, one of the things that annoys me is when somebody's wife gets involved in a professional athlete's business or their life, or, you know, it's the player's business, it's the team's business, it's all that. Happens all the time. Well, they just voted on the Cy Young, and Justin Verlander is former Cy Young award winner.
Okay.
And he's up for the award this year. And it had come out that some of the sports writers had sent in their ballots.
All right, here, hold on. Connect. We got Buff Bagwell. Connect. Let Buff hear this.
It's Thanksgiving week in America, and to show you how thankful we are that you listen to this show every week, Podcast One wants to give you 2 free months of exclusive access to Podcast One premium content, where you get thousands of shows from the likes of Adam Carolla, Shaq, Steve Austin, Brandy Glanville, Dan Patrick, and so many more. To get your 2 free months of premium, go to podcastone.com now, enter your email address, and we'll take care of the rest. You're welcome with Chael Sonnen.
Buff!
Yo, yo, yo!
Hey, what's happening, buddy? Hey, Joel's down here telling a story. I want to get your opinion on this if you've heard it. Joel, will you finish telling the story? Let Buff hear this.
Well, let me get him up to speed. So Buff, real quick, you know how professional athletes, when their old lady sounds off and starts yamming their hole and it becomes press. So,
yes.
All right, you know how that happens? Well, that annoys me to no end. I never want to hear about it. Well, Justin Verlander's the Cy Young Award winner a few years ago, and he's up for the award this year. And apparently,
Justin Verlander, Detroit. He plays for Detroit.
Okay, perfect. So his fiancée is a gal named Kate Upton. Now, what happened was, it came out that some of the sports writers had sent their vote in early. So she tweeted out one of the greatest tweets of all time. She said, "Hey, MLB, I thought I'm the only one that can screw Justin Verlander." And she didn't say screw. So that caught the wave, and some sports reporter came out and said, "Hey man, pipe down. He didn't deserve the Cy Young." And then then Justin Verlander came out and said, "Hey man, don't tell my old lady to pipe down. I'm not mad that I didn't win the Cy Young. I'm just mad that they sent the votes in early. That's not right." And then the reporter came back and sucked up to Justin Verlander. And the reason I was telling this story is, A, it was a great tweet, and B, I hate when the reporters pop off to the pro athletes, and then the pro athletes call them on it, and then the reporters don't have enough balls to stand their ground. So me and Chael were in a little pissing match a few minutes ago, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't pissing back.
All right, so Buff, what do you think of that? So the guy doesn't get the Cy Young Award. Okay, he's a filthy rich, entitled athlete in the first place, dating a supermodel. I mean, should we really be crying for the guy?
Here's I got a great answer for this, believe it or not, and it just hit me after your analogy of, rich and good-looking wife, and why do we complain about a Cy Young Award? And when you said that, for some reason, boom, the answer hit me. Here's the answer. And I told my wife this just the other night. For some reason, no matter how much money you start making, it becomes a job. So you gotta. I don't care how many million. I mean, Tony Romo has made $14 million this season. He's not taking a snap. I love Tony Romo. We know how sports are. We know how much money they make. That's so much money. It's crazy. But still, I can remember I was making $1.1 million a year, which is nowhere near that, but still it's a lot of money, man. And I remember calling with a private jet waiting on me. I tried to call in sick. I got millions of fans that want to see me live go out and have fun on Nitro, and I'm trying to call in sick because I partied on Sunday. And my point is, when you get there and you're making that kind of money and stuff, the money thing and the good-looking wife thing kind of go away because it's normal to you. It's a job. And it sounds crazy. It's kind of like when you hear guys talk about winning and losing in pro wrestling. They're like, are you kidding me? I mean, who cares? You can beat me all you want. Just pay me. You say that, and then when you get there, you see that it does make a difference. And if that guy's going to complain about it, I got to stand up for my ground and all that. So to answer your question, you got to take the money and the good-looking thing out of it. It is just a job to those guys because they're already rich and they've been rich for so long.
All right.
So taking the money out of it, then it becomes about just exactly what the situation is. And I think it's a little silly that the tweet thing, that she said it, but for any non-athletic sports person to say anything negative to Justin Verlander except, hey, I see what you're saying, because he is making a complete fact. They should not have sent the votes in early. And if he's making a fact that has been proven it's a fact, that sports announcer should do nothing but just say, hey, you know what, they did do it wrong, and back his play because Justin Verlander is one of the best pitchers in the Major League Baseball, and everybody knows that. So even though I'm with you, the money, you should say, man, he's rich and all that. Are we really complaining about a tweet? As sad and sick as it is, that little tweet becomes a big deal when you get up there because if you don't respond to it, then things happen and it gets deeper and rolls and you just get caught up in it. So I do agree that the sports announcer should have kept his mouth shut, and that's one of the best pitchers in the history of baseball he's talking to. There should be nothing but respect for him. All
right, so Buff, but here's the thing. Whether it's the Cy Young Award or I go through this with the Heisman as well, people will talk about who's going to win it. My answer is nobody. It's not a competition. You can't enter a tournament called Cy Young and come out on top. It's the same thing with the Heisman. Nobody wins the Heisman. Somebody is given the Heisman. And I just think if you put too much emphasis on it, you kind of scratch your head, go, man, this is politics, this is dirty, and it's fake anyway. It's not, there is no award. There is no tournament.
Again, it's perfect. It's fake. And think about this. Think about having to argue a contract as a pro wrestler. Think about that for a minute, brother.
Tell me about that.
Sports entertainment. This ain't Mark McGwire batting .350, hitting 70 home runs with 23 stolen bases, 16 doubles, 13 triples. This ain't that kind of argument. You're as big as a star as they made you, and you're arguing money.
Sure.
That's hard to do, brother. You're like, wait a minute, there's a fine line of how much money do they really owe me, if anything? They're the ones that built me. So they give you the stage, and same thing with Justin Verlander, and same thing with Heisman guys and all that. They've got a stage to perform on, but with those boys, it's the numbers. And with us, it's really, there's no numbers to go by. It just goes to a popularity contest, and that's why there's so much politics and stuff in wrestling, because there's not legit numbers. There's not stolen bases, touchdowns, passes, completions, quarterback ratings. It is they built you, and that's kind of what they do in football also. It's who gets the biggest push. I mean, for example, the Stanford boy that's so good, the white boy, the Stanford boy, because they play late, a lot of guys don't get to see him. I heard that the other night, and I've been in the television world my whole life, and I was still shocked because that's true. I can't remember his name. It's like McCallan or McCaster or...
Okay.
He's just one of those little bitty white receivers for Stanford that is absolutely incredible. He's number 5. And he was up for the Heisman, and they said the reason he may not win it is because their television stuff's not seen as much. So you're only as big as a star if that network wants to make you, no matter if you got the numbers or not.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. I mean, they say that about Cena, that Cena used to have to go on early because his big fan base was 12 years old and under, and they couldn't stay up till the end of Raw. I've never known if that was true or not, but that's what they've claimed for years, Buff.
And it's the truth. It's the truth. And it's the same thing with these little shows we do. It's a fine line. If you dare put Buff on like at 4 or 5, you better have a pretty good card or have a good show rolling, because they're going to leave. They're going to leave if not. And the other bad news is sometimes what they do, and most of the time this is where they make a mistake, is they put me on last, but they get in 10 matches before me, making the crowd wait for me, and then when I come out, the crowd is just like, yay, there he is, woo, who cares? So it puts a lot of pressure on the last match.
They're tired. They get tired.
Yeah, you got to put them at where their fan base is at, because that is his thing, and it's called... I can't remember what they call it, but they used to take it every 15 minutes, and it's the ratings, but it's the Nielsen something.
The Nielsen
ratings.
Nielsen
something ratings, and when they take it, it's every 15 minutes. And what you would always hope for is that Hogan or somebody was in your 15-minute clip. That way you could take it to your agent, and your agent could take it to your boss and say, look, we were in the highest-rated 2-hour part of the show. And nobody ever said, well, it's because Hogan was in that section. No matter what the reason, it still was you were in that 15-minute segment, so it mattered. So it's a big deal on when you go on, and it means a lot, especially back in the day when we were 8 to 10 and they were 9 to 11. At 8:59, brother, Sting was coming down from the ceiling, NWO's coming out, they got The Rock on the microphone, they got Steve Stone Cold drinking beer, so there was the Monday Night Wars, and it was flip, 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 So you better be where you're supposed to be at 8:59.
Hey, how does that work? So you said something interesting here, because I've always thought that same thing. It's like, yeah, a guy gets over in the pro wrestling business, but he only gets over because the guy that he's got to negotiate with decided to give him his big push. So if a guy does get over, his merchandise is selling, he's on the top of the marquee, and all of a sudden he gets tough to deal with on a contract dispute, don't the writers just go, oh, we'll show you how this works, and start penciling him out of things? Is that how it works? I mean, can you negotiate so hard that they just take it away?
Yes, you can, but it still becomes an issue of, you just still, they gave you the platform and you became over. In other words, John Cena, it would hurt the WWE if he left tomorrow. So that's, of course, leverage. Now, it ain't the kind of leverage you can walk in and say, I want this, 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 and this, because if you say too much, they'll just bump you out. But you build each year, you get a little more leverage because of your popularity. For example, my career on television was 11 years. At year 5, at year 1, you don't say nothing. At year 2, you say a little more. At year 3, something else. Year 4, a little more. Year 5, year 6, you're Buff Bagwell now. Well, now, I'm not talking any different at all. I'm talking just like this. But now it's coming out of Buff's mouth. It ain't coming out of little bitty Marcus Alexander Bagwell rookie's mouth. It's coming out of Buff's mouth. So I'm not saying it no different, but it's getting taken different. So things just change as it happens, and that stage gets bigger and bigger, and there's more eyes on you, and things you say can get misconstrued like a bad text or something, and it just happens that way. But if you're not careful, to answer your question, absolutely. For example, my rule at the 9-year mark of and I was as big as anybody else. I was equal to The Rock. I mean, we were dead even, and then I broke my neck. So Rock, Stone Cold, everybody was pretty much on the same playing field. NWO, everybody's over, and there's a good group of running. Everybody's popular. But my rule that I was taught by the big stars like Luger and Sting and those guys was don't complain until the third thing. That's how I was taught. Now, in other words, if I got beat on Nitro, don't say a word. If you got beat the second Nitro the next week, you do not say a word. The third week, if they were doing something bad with you, you said something because you had leverage. You could say, hey, guys, what's going on? And they're like, what do you mean? They've got, guys, y'all beat me 2 weeks in a row. If you go to them week 1, you're a crybaby, see?
Sure.
You go to them week 3, you're a smart businessman. And that's the game you got to play the whole way through that 11-year run. You got to know when to speak up, how to speak up, and what kind of tone to use when you speak up. Now, like at the level you get of a Hogan or a Scott Hall or a Kevin Nash, you can speak much louder and things like that. But when you're above Bagwell year 9, you get beat twice before you say something. Now, if you're going to beat Kevin Nash on Monday night, he's asking why right then. Where are y'all going with this? Because he can. But that's the difference of a Kevin Nash at year 9 and above Bagwell at year 9. You got to know where you're at. You got to know your strengths. And that was mine. Mine was knowing when to speak.
Now, Buff, when you used to train with Dusty Rhodes, what would you say he taught you more? I mean, was he showing you techniques and moves, or was he teaching you the psychology of the things you're talking about right now, the psychology, how to deal with the boys backstage, the guys in the office, and the fans in the arena?
Believe it or not, who did the most for me in this business was Missy. Dusty didn't really do a whole lot of that kind of stuff with me, except just because Missy had already got me ready for that. Missy Hyde, if you remember, was one of the first female announcers. She was very popular, and we met at a apartment complex, and she thought I was single. She moved in next door to me. That night, she knocks on the door. I'm a massage therapist at the time. I go to the Atlanta School of Massage and become a licensed massage therapist. My parents went broke my senior year. My family was a very rich lumber company ownerships. And so for my entire life growing up, I was a filthy rich kid. I wasn't a spoiled brat, but I was definitely spoiled. I took care of my stuff. I was very thankful. I knew that we had money. I knew it was different. I knew it was important. I respected everything, but we were rich. Well, my senior year, we go broke. So your dad comes to you and goes, "Hey, I got this much money. What do you want to do in your life?" At 18, I'm like, I don't know, God. So you get my brother Steve, my oldest brother, you give him a gym. My middle brother, he bought him a drywall company. Well, I'm 18 years old. What do you want to do, son? I said, I don't know, brother. I don't know what I want to do. I want to do something with sports. So I thought maybe sports training, sports medicine, be a sports trainer for a pro team somewhere, something like that. Because I didn't do anything in schooling because my parents were rich. I was going to work for the lumberyard.
Sure.
Well, that went down the tubes because they were broke when I was graduating. So I go to Atlanta School of Massage, graduate, and it goes nosedive. It don't do anything for me at all. Every woman that saw me canceled. The woman would walk in the room, see me, and cancel the appointment.
You were too handsome to be a massage therapist. That's what happened.
Believe it or not, that's the honest to God's truth, that is the correct statement. I thought by taking care of myself and being a young, handsome man, I thought that would be a positive, good thing, but it was exactly the opposite. It went dead against me, bro. It was dead against me. Women, I swear to God, women would walk in and go, no way. And so, of course, when you spend $10,000 and you go 8 months to school, you want to know. So I started saying, what is the problem? Tell me what the problem is. And they'd say, I heard my husband would kill me. I may have a zit on my back. So during school, I was watching all of these nerds and kind of query kind of guys making tons of money. And I went, man, I'm going to blow these guys out of the water. And it was absolutely the other way around.
So I got to know. Hold on. Buff, I got to know.
Uncomfortable with those kind of guys. So massage therapy, anybody out there that's going to massage therapy school, listen to me closely. You need to be a female or you need to be an unattractive male.
All right, but Buff, I don't want you to lose your place here. Now, we were going. Misty moves in next door to the apartment complex.
Misty,
Circle back.
Dusty, to answer your question, Dusty didn't work with me like that. He never really did. Dusty hired me. Dusty gave me my break. But Missy is truly the one. So she walks in that night during the massage therapy run. She tells on herself. She says, hey, I saw your husband today at the pool, and she tells on herself. So instantly we love her. We're laughing. We're cutting up. She said, I told the girl with me to move me right next door to him. She goes, why don't you be a pro wrestler? And we were like, pro wrestling? What? And she's like, yeah, that's what I do. I work for a company called WCW. And I go, those guys don't make any money. And she goes, our lowest paid guy makes about $100,000 a year. And I said, excuse me? So long story short, she, to answer your question, is kind of who got me ready.
Did you give her a massage?
Being good looking and not being cocky and shaking hands, and everybody was going to hate my guts and just get ready for it. And it's a very egotistical business. Sit in the corner, shut your mouth. So for 2 years, the biggest troublemaker in the room, the one that had been to jail the most, was the little bitty fag guy that they thought was a fag named Mark Bagwell sitting over in the corner for 2 years.
Hey, Buff, I got a question for you, brother. So I was in the drunk tank with Scott Recksteiner, who ends up. It was at the Division I Nationals my freshman year. And, and he went nuts. I mean, he went nuts. He had his own room and he went nuts. So a few years later, he's a pro wrestler. So I started following him, and you and him had a great run as tag team partners. Man, how crazy was that on the road?
Oh, dude, it really was. Scotty, me and Scotty just really clicked. It was a real good, fun time. And what we'd do every town we got to, bro, we just thought of what can we do that is completely 1,000% against the grain. And whatever was against the grain fully, we did. For example, real quick, Mark McGuire broke the home run record on a Sunday. Monday Night Nitro, we're in St. Louis, Missouri. So we burn a St. Louis Cardinals jersey.
Oh.
Yeah. They were trying to kill us, dude. They were trying to get to us to kill us. But that's the kind of shit we did. That's the kind of stuff we did. We literally would do things that was so against the grain that it was A, funny, B, entertaining, and C, nobody else really would do it. But I had Scotty as a backup. Nobody else saying anything to Scotty. So we were good.
Yeah, Buff, so that's my question. When you get partnered up with a real shooter like Scott Steiner, when you're in the back, I got to think things change for you a little bit. I mean, all of a sudden, you got a little more voice, right?
Oh, brother, I walked a whole different walk when I Scotty.
I would
I had a whole
imagine.
different swagger. I mean, I was Scott Steiner, but then the problem is, then the boys get involved. And I got into shape. And keep in mind, everybody knows Scott Steiner had the best body of all time. But I was able to stand beside him a little bit, no doubt about it. I was buff Bagwell, looked pretty good, and, I was able to at least stand beside him. Well, of course, the boys, they stirred that up and got us against each other somehow. I couldn't believe it. I said, Scotty, are you going to let this happen, dude? So the boys actually tore up me and Scotty to the point I went from having the swagger of Scotty to it's me and him facing off, and we ain't spoken 3 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah, so I got to walk up to him. I'll never forget this, as long as I live. I swear to God, the pay-per-view was called Sold Out, and we're in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I ain't spoken to Scott Steiner in 3 weeks. And I've done a Scott Steiner imitation, which was hilarious. He went out and dogged me out, which was hilarious. So there's been 2 or 3 arguments back and forth, but we haven't spoke. So I walked up to him and I said, do I need to defend myself?
Good. That's a good icebreaker. What did he say?
That's all I did. I made it short. I made it sweet. And he was getting his ankles taped, and I said, do I need to defend myself? And he said, he thought about it. He took about 10 seconds, and he went, no. And I said, okay. So I still walked away verbalizing it, but I still didn't know. So here we go out in front of 20 million viewers, and we go to lock up with a 280-pound dude that can beat me up right there in front of everybody. And thank God, when we locked up, he was what we call working. And I was like, oh, God, thank God.
He's a man of his word. He told you no.
Work.
He was a man of it. He backed his word. So here, let me fast forward. I will be direct. I don't know if you listen to this show or you follow UFC or fight or any of this stuff, but as fighter, we all follow you guys. We all follow the wrestler. We just have found over time the wrestlers don't follow us. You guys are traveling so damn much or uninterested. But Buff, I have stated on this show many times that I disagree strongly with your exit from the WWE. I thought with your charisma, with as much as you were over, with your look, and particularly with your youth, that you had another decade, without question, a decade to offer that company. What in the hell happened there? Who did you piss off? Because there was obvious politics. That was not a commentary on your ability as a worker. So what is the real politics?
The weirdest thing, dude, is, which is going to blow your mind, which is what kills me to this day. And it took me, I probably got over it maybe 5 years ago, I'd say. And it's been 18 or 19 years now, but I'd say about 5 years ago, I was totally able to let it go. But I don't know that answer, and that's what hurts. I've got assumptions, I've got ideas, but I don't know. Nobody told me why. I was told I was released. The facts that I have is this, real quick and real simple. Booker T and Buff Bagwell was the first match of the invasion. One of the biggest things that ever happens in pro wrestling history is going to happen, and that is WCW is going to wrestle the WWF for the very first time ever. Well, to kick that match off, they picked Buff Bagwell and Booker T. And the problem is we decided to do it in Tacoma, Washington, which WCW had never wrestled in 11 years there before. And the next week was Phillips Arena. So let me ask you, you're Mark Bagwell, and you're getting ready to go on live Raw with every star in the world there. First of all, you're asking yourself, why are you main event on Raw? And we are. But it's a big deal. It's an invasion. Okay, but then you start asking yourself, why would these guys not wait 1 week and put Booker T and Buff Bagwell at the Phillips Arena in Atlanta in Ted Turner's backyard?
Right.
So we at least smelled poop out of the gate. We knew something was up. You don't put Booker T and Buff Bagwell in Tacoma, Washington, when all you got to do is wait 7 days and you got 100,000 fans coming through the roof for us. Instead, we come out and we get booed out of the building. So we go out and have a way below average match, which me and Booker T, if you ever watched a match with us, have got the best matches of my career is with Booker. We never miss a step. Our chemistry's great. We flow. It's just always, I love working Booker. I've worked Booker with the American Males. I've worked him with Stars and Stripes. I've worked him with everybody. Well, we're whispering backstage because, of course, we don't want Vince to hear us, but we're like, why are we main event? And why are we not waiting until next week? So that, along with telling me that they didn't fire me, then they called me at home and told me to take the weekend off.
Now, that's not.
Here's where it gets ugly.
That's not great usually in the business, right? That's not great.
I was hurt, so I 100% believed it. I had knocked out. Well, I'd open hand slapped, not knocked him out. I open hand slapped Hurricane Helms, but he wasn't Hurricane Helms yet. It was just Shane Helms. We got in an argument at wrestling school one day because we were supposed to go to wrestling school to get used to the 20-foot ring. So I'd open hand slapped Helms one day over a discussion that they got out of hand. And I go to turn and walk away. Well, I didn't know it. He had a water bottle that was like an ice brick that was icing his ribs under an ace bandage. I didn't know it. So I go to turn and walk away, and, brother, I get hit with a brick, except it's ice. Wham! Right in the head. So when I wrestled Booker T, I had 28 stitches in my head that night.
Oh, my goodness.
I just couldn't see it because I put makeup on it. But I had 28 stitches and a concussion the night I wrestled Booker T on Raw. So, but I didn't complain. I went to my doctor. The wrestlers convinced me to lie to the company and say nothing happened. So I say I fell. Well, that night, that Raw, that was on a Friday. I go get stitched up over the weekend. Of course, I know a doctor here. He sees me over the weekend. I get stitched up. I go get stitched up and everything. Well, I come back to Raw, and I see Helms. Helms was holding the towel on my head, and he was crying because everybody knew that I had a spot. There was no doubt Buff Bagwell was going to be at the WWF. I mean, come on. Buff Bagwell, WWF, it's a no-brainer.
I agree.
Everybody else was digging for their job. But DDP, Booker T, and Buff Bagwell, everybody knew had a spot. It wasn't even cocky. It wasn't ugly. It was just a fact. So Helms is in there crying, holding a towel on my head, thinking he screwed himself out of a job. Well, the boys convinced me to lie and say that I fell so nobody gets in trouble. And so I said, guys, y'all have already called and text. Come on, you got to be. Well, they still stick to their guns, and they talked me into it. So I go, okay, if that's what y'all want to do, I'll do it. So I lie. I get to the Nitro. I get to Raw, and I see him. He's walking with the Hardy Boys. And I said, hey, Shane, what's up, buddy? He don't wave, and neither do the Hardy Boys. So I went straight to Johnny Laurinaitis.
You knew something was up right then.
And right then I knew that it was already out, and I was the bad guy somehow. So I went straight to Johnny Ace, and I told him the truth. I said, I slapped Shane Helms last week. It got out of hand. They all told me to lie, so I did. So he got the first 12 guys that got hired. He got all of us together, and he made us all apologize to each other. We all shook hands, regrouped, and we're going to have a new night. That was the same night as Monday Night Raw, and I didn't know it yet, but I was going to be main event that night. Well, after that speech and everything, they come to us, and here all of a sudden I'm main event. But like I said, we smelled poop a little bit because something was up. Well, I go home from that match kind of depressed, bad match. They were kind of unhappy with it. We got booed out of the building. I'm a little bit worried, but I'm not worried about my job. I'm Buff Bagwell, dude. I'm 31 years old. I'm shredded. I'm in great shape. I feel great. I'm ready to go. I got 10 years left. Easy. I'm ready. And Jim Ross calls me, and I've only got 3 witnesses to this, and it's God, Jim Ross, and me, which are not 3 good witnesses, because one of them can't speak.
One of them won't talk, right?
So, and the other one they're going to believe over me. So he calls me up, and he goes, "Hey, man, how you doing?" I go, "Good, I'm doing fine." He goes, "How's your head?" I go, and you know me, I was like, "Oh, my God, it's great. I'm ready to go, man, ready to go." He said, "I tell you what, we got big plans for you on Monday. Why don't you take the weekend off? It's just Augusta and Birmingham. Just take the weekend off, and we got big plans for you Monday. We want you to be rested. We just want you to just worry about your body, diet good, train, get a good weekend of rest. We'll see you on Monday." I said, "Man, thanks so much, Jim." I show up on Monday, and I get fired.
They brought you in, though. They didn't just send it to you. They brought you in.
From my house of Phillips Arena, which also makes me believe, I really believe they still didn't quite know what they were going to do.
They must not have.
So they put me on the burn. That story got out now that my mother called and got me out of the shows.
Is that true, by the way?
Like glue.
Is that true? Was your mom doing that? I believed it. So tell me, is it true?
Well, let's go this right. Here's how I answer that question. Let's say it's true. Let's go worst case scenario. Let's say that Mom really did it and she lied to me. Okay, let's go that route, right? Worst case scenario.
Okay.
Do you fire Buff Bagwell?
I don't think so.
I don't either. You warn him. Hey, tell your mother not to fucking call. Excuse my language. Tell your mother not to call here. You're a grown up, but you don't fire Buff Bagwell at 31 years old with 10 years left in him.
I wouldn't care if your mom called. I wouldn't care at all. But hold on, I still want the answer. Did Mom call?
Like I said, I swear to God that I was told that she did not call. And that's why one day a radio guy goes, "Well, how do you know she didn't?" And I went, "What?" And I stopped and I went, "You know what? That's a pretty good question."
Yeah, maybe.
I'm going to start answering that question differently.
Hey, maybe Mom's a worker.
I don't know.
Maybe Mom's a worker.
Lied to me, so I went the other route and went, well, what if she did do it? Would you still fire Buff? And the answer was no. You wouldn't have done Tacoma. You would have waited a week for Buff and Buff Bagwell, and you wouldn't have fired Buff. And listen to this. Why would my mom call and cancel 2 shows that are drives when I just flew 5,000 miles to wrestle Booker?
Sure.
So I went and wrestled the night in Seattle on Sunday. I did Raw on Monday with 25 stitches in my head. I healed 4 more days, and my mom calls and cancels Augusta and Birmingham? That's ridiculous. Of course not. We're in the seat. We're doing the right thing. I went to my own doctor. I didn't complain. Why would she call now and make me the bad guy? I just don't see it. But I started thinking, well, what if she did and just got herself in a bind and made a mistake and didn't mean to do that or something? You think she was doing the right thing, which she swears she didn't. But let's say she did. You still don't fire Buff Bagwell, dude. You come and you go, "Look, bro, tell your mother to lose our number. Come on, bro. Are you kidding? Lose our number. You're a grown man, and we'll see you next week."
It's a laughable moment. If she called, it's something that you laugh about.
Give me a warning. Give me a spank on the hand.
Well, and you probably respect it.
I didn't even get a spank on the hand, and I've never, in the most forgiving business in the world, I've never had a second chance.
All right, Buff, I got to ask you something because we're running out of time, and since we're dispelling rumors, man, and what's real and what's not, you tell me. Were you a gigolo for a minute?
Yes, I absolutely was.
Stud. Are you right now?
It was actually pretty wild, and just Doug, you got a couple minutes for me to explain it?
I think you better. You better. We can't just leave that potato out there.
Car wreck. I have a car wreck in 2012 that's really bad. I had to be put in self-induced coma. This is April 23rd, 2012, which, by the way, is exactly 14 years off from me breaking my neck on live TV. I broke it again on the exact same day 14 years later in this car wreck. Now, do that math, and it's the truth. April 23rd, 1998, live on TV. April 23rd, 2012, I flip my Jeep, break my neck again. I break my neck. I got stitches everywhere. I knock all my teeth out. I break my jaw. Really bad car wreck. The rumors got out that Buck was done. He was over. He was shot, and I was, bro. It was really bad. My body was gone. Teeth are knocked out. I had 5 plates put in my face. I wasn't sure myself. So the rumor got out that I was from the internet was he's dead. He's retired. And brother, the phone quit ringing, and I went broke fast. Judy, my wife, she's trying to figure things out with me, of course, and she goes, I think I figured it out.
Oh, boy.
She said, my wife finds it. She says, there's this thing called gigolos on TV, and I think you'd be perfect for it. Now, she didn't know or had never watched an episode. We were broke, we're scrambling, we're digging. My manager, I called him up. He goes, oh, my God, that's a great idea. One phone call, and the red carpet comes out. They're ready. Oh, my God, absolutely. Have him on the show. Can't wait. The guy, the owner of the thing, his name's Garen. He owns a company called Cowboys, the number 4 Angels. And he has true life gigolos that live in the Las Vegas area, and they tape a show out there, and I was in season 5. And it was the last episode of season 5, and it was the highest rated show they've ever had, ever. But that was the good news. The bad news is I'm on tape doing everything you can do with a woman. So I land, not knowing it either. So I land from Las Vegas into Atlanta. My wife picks me up, and I said, do you know the good news or the bad news? Because me and my wife have got we don't swing or nothing like that, but I'm a very honest, very, very honest, open person. And I said, do you want the truth? I said, do you want the good news or the bad news? What do you want? And she said, the good news. And I handed her the check, $25,000.
All right.
I said, and the good news is I'm signed on for season 6. And it's $25,000 an episode, and they do 12 episodes a season. And she was like, "Oh my God, that's great! That worked out." I said, "Wait a minute now. Now the bad news." She said, "What?" I said, "I've done everything but have sex with a woman on television, and everybody in the world's going to see it." And she was like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Did you have sex with her?" And I said, "No." Because I didn't. Now, if you watch it back, you'd probably argue with me. The fact, even my own workout partner thinks I'm lying to him about it. But I'm not sure if I can say this or not, but there was nothing happening. We'll say it nicely.
Gotcha.
There was nothing happening down there, and I couldn't make it happen. I was trying because I thought I was supposed to. Nobody told me any different. Cameras are everywhere. I choke. Let's just say I stayed in real close so you couldn't see anything. And I really must have done a good job because my own training partner thinks that I did, and I didn't. So I start doing TMZ videos and stuff saying, "Look, I didn't have sex with her. It's like a movie, you know." I said, "We pretend." Da, da, da. Well, Showtime calls me up and goes, "Bagwell, what are you doing?" I go, "What do you mean?" They go, "This is a reality show. You can't say you're not having sex. You can't say that to protect your wife." So I couldn't do that no more. So I had to say, "Baby, I'm sorry, I tried, but you're on your own." So I had to start, acting like I had sex for season 6 and getting ready for it. And they were going to put me as a gigolo in season 6, running all the gigolos out of Atlanta. And then Garen was going to run in Las Vegas. And season 6, Showtime didn't pick up. but I was a gigolo.
Okay, so wait. Okay, only for a night. See, I thought you were running a service like on Craigslist or something. I mean,
No. I'm on his website still because I signed a piece of paper, of course. Like I said, back to I was broke and all that. I signed a piece of paper that allowed him the rights to put me on his website.
I got it. Okay, well, as far as gigolos
it's
go,
crazy. It's like $400 an hour, $3,000 for the night, $10,000 for the weekend. And I've done one of those, and it was when me and my wife were broke up.
All right.
So I got $8,000 to go to Paris.
You got an understanding woman there, Buff.
She is an absolute trooper.
Buff, I tell you, I wish we could do a part 2, man. I'm just getting warmed up with you, and they're going to kick me out of the studio. Can we do a part 2?
We got so much more to talk about. I say we do it again. Y'all just tell me when. I love this stuff.
You're the man, because I got a whole list here, and we are just getting cranking. I'm going to get a hold of you, but for today, thank you, my friend.
Hey, thank you guys. I promise, man, we'll have some fun, and I got a bunch of really good stuff to talk about. So let's do it.
All right, thank you, Buff.
Y'all
All
have a
right.
good one.